Friday noon Eastern. You think about it, we rant about it. Listen to us live on Facebook.
What's up, everybody? It's the hump day of the week. It is Wednesday, and I'm here sitting in sunny South Florida with a crisp 90-plus degrees and sun, and David Solomon sitting in Montreal, Quebec, and the temperature is
90 degrees, cloudy and humid as hell. Actually, it's probably 95, actually. Crazy stuff, man.
You know, it was funny. My father just got to New York a couple of days ago, and he said he arrived, and it was 68 degrees. And I just kind of paused for a second. It's 90 degrees in Florida, but 68 degrees in New York. I don't know who's taking the temperature these days, but that's.
I think your father was thinking like something else, but that's okay. Let's move on here, buddy.
We got a lot to talk about today.
Oh boy!
And David, I'm going to give you kudos for the topic because when you mention the word media and bias, the word news
it's a four-letter word. It's a four-letter word.
Was not in the vernacular. And I think the term news is where we have a problem. I agree there's lots of media and lots of opinions, but I don't think there's a lot of news because news would imply there is truth to what is being saying. And Aura is complaining that we're freezing up.
All right, Aura, we'll move on. Don't worry, Aura.
Maybe it's the internet you got in Israel because they're hearing us, stream, and they don't like what we're talking about.
Hey, Stuart, forget the temperature. It's okay.
I'm trying to be social and nice, David. But so we're going to talk about bias in the media. David, why don't you lead off?
Well, I got to tell you, this is the insanity. This is what makes me ill. And ladies and gentlemen, it is a fascinating thing how over the last few days, the media bias has shown its ugly face again. And I'll give you the example of what it is. And that is, I'd like to thank former President Barack Obama. Happy birthday, Barack Obama. You're 60 years old. You look great for a 60-year-old. And I wish I had a jump shot just like you. But I'm a little bit sick and tired of the justification. Here's People magazine glorifying his 200 close friends and family who came to his birthday party. And it was okay. It was okay. I thought we're in a pandemic, Stuart. I thought we're supposed to not have these large crowds and big parties. I know for a fact that, we're highly encouraged by our politicians to wear masks. We're highly encouraged for our people to stay distant. But of course, God forbid, no, you see, it wasn't. There were no masks. And thanks to the New York Post here, they called out the hypocrisy. Now, the sad thing about this whole thing was when it was called out, to show you the level of bias that occurred, a New York Times reporter said, you got to understand that the crowd was it's a sophisticated, vaccinated crowd, which means, Stuart, elite people can't get COVID. Like, you got to understand.
Not for me, but for thee.
Democrats, elite Democrats, can't get COVID. I mean, that's what you're being told here. So one clear example, and by the way, when this reporter was called out, it was like, it was a CNN interview, of course. CNN didn't counter them. CNN didn't bother to do anything about it. They applauded it. And again, this is to show you the ongoing, disgusting bias that is prevailing for the Democratic Party. One example. By contrast, folks, we talked about this on Monday, is you see the treatment that's being given to any Republican, okay? Ron DeSantis is crucified, but Governor Newsom is not.
Nope.
Donald Trump was crucified just by opening his mouth, just by showing up, just by having, going to a rally at any one point, and he was crucified. Joe Biden, on the other hand, promised in his first 100 days, he swore on his election campaign, there will be a mandatory national mask campaign within his first 100 days. No, there wasn't. Another lot, but did the media call him out? Of course not. just on the handling of COVID alone. And I can go into so many other areas. Like we talked about this the other day as well. Kamala Harris meets a plane full of Democrats at a super spreader event, and that is okay. But a motorcycle event is going to be known as a super spreader event, and that hell with that. Even Miss Dr. Fauci has shown that he will not call out any Democratic politician, but he clearly calls out Republican politicians, even though on Fox News he plays both sides. Stuart, I'm passing you the ball, but if this doesn't scream media bias, I don't know what does.
You know what, David? Are you familiar with Lollapalooza?
Yep, I certainly do.
Lollapalooza is an epic, epic concert. Let me blow up this picture for you.
Oh, no. If you haven't heard of Lollapalooza, baby, you haven't lived.
I mean, Lollapalooza, and you know what's really funny is, can you see the size of this picture? I need to make this picture bigger.
Yeah,
like
it's gorgeous, man. It's
perfect. I mean, I can't make it bigger. It won't let me. There we go. There we go. Let me put this up here in perspective. Do we see how many people are in this crowd? Does anyone see a mask? Did anyone hear about this on any news network whatsoever? You heard it here. And the reason why I call us a news network, because we talk about actual facts, news. That's Lollapalooza 2021, 3 days ago. So tell me where there's any media bias. Here's also another good one. I love watching this one. Not for me, but for thee. When you have House Democrats piling in a plane, I'm sorry, did anyone not recall the FAA guidelines?
Yep.
You must wear a mask. I'm going to feed you and give you drinks all at the same time, take all your masks off, but not for me, but for thee. This sounds a heck of a lot like, David, fascism.
Well,
I mean, it's a form of fascism. I hate to say it. Not for me, but for thee. You are not the right class. Fascism we normally associate with neo-Nazism, right? Because that's the most recent one that we all remember. But let me understand it. Class warfare, which is exactly what the Democrats are putting forward, and the media, right? Not news, the media. Because they're not giving the news. All they're doing is saying, here is my polarizing view of looking at a glass wearing blockers.
Yeah.
What are you going to see? Where is the blame on the Democrats? You know what? I'm not a fan of Fox News because they are polarizing left, right. I don't like CNN. They're polarizing left. Neither of them give any perspective anymore. And when you try and talk to friends, right?
It's agenda-based news, Stuart. You know that.
Listen, I had a text message and a phone call from a good friend of ours, a guy named Sheldon. He lives in Tampa. His wife is Stacy, used to live around the corner from you, David. And he called me up, how dare you support Ron DeSantis? I said, what do you mean, how dare I support Ron DeSantis? Well, he's all for mask wearing and not mask wearing, not mandating. And I'm like, okay, Sheldon. Where did you get your information? I'm watching MSNBC, and they say, I'm like, Sheldon, come on, buddy. You're smarter than that. You're picking on one of the most, popular governors who's more than likely got the strongest presidential run in front of him than any other president, second to the Kennedys. I mean, the guy is a Teflon Don, right? I can't tell you how disgusted I am with all media outlets and urge them to go back and find me a news outlet. David?
Well, listen, it doesn't exist anymore. And unfortunately, that's the problem which we've got here today in the world. And I'm not just saying in the United States, even in Canada, anywhere in the world, you cannot find unbiased news. You can't find unvarnished news. You can't find the facts anymore. And that's which was a big struggle to today's generation. The sad part is that the vast majority of media houses today, It's not what it used to be. It's not an independent anymore. It's part of a larger corporation. There's hardly a media outlet today that's not owned by a large corporation. There are a handful still, community papers, community whatever that might be owned, but CBS, ABC, NBC, CNN, these are all owned by large corporations, agenda-based. People, they have a means to an end. And let's be realistic. When you have a Don Lemon on one side at CNN and a Sean Hannity on the other side in Fox News, they're not giving you unbiased. They're giving you straight up bias. Don Lemon clearly said and has clearly stipulated his opinion and has simply told everybody what he stands for. Same with Sean Hannity. Lemon is Democrat, hardcore, doesn't give a budge. Hannity is hardcore Republican, doesn't give a budge. And you see the same thing, and you see one media. Look, I hear Fox News attacking CNN, CNN attacking, Fox, MSNBC attacking. I mean, everybody's attacking the other guy. The problem is today you can't get a single ounce of real news, and the Democrats are currying favor from the liberal media to get elected, to give them whatever they want in return. And you heard, even with all due respect to Donald Trump, when Fox News said something against him, he said, "Well, I'm not gonna support you anymore." That's not how the way the news is supposed to work, Stuart.
I know, David. Listen, CNN dropped 68% as of June 29th of this year. Do you know why they've lost 68% of their media, their subscribers, their watchers, their viewers? People are getting tired of this, David. And you know what? I'm uber frustrated. I don't like the polar right. I don't like the polar left. I just want the news. Tell me how many eggs are in the basket. I don't really care about your opinion on the shape of the eggs. I just want to know how many eggs are in the basket. If I ask what's the shape of the egg, well, then tell me what the shape of the egg is. Now, to tell me how the chicken felt laying the egg just is ridiculous. It's made up stories. They want to make up. They're storytellers.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Today's society is numb and dumb because they don't understand the herd concept. What's for me and not for thee.
Look, we know that.
I am the have. You are the have-not. And you know what? I am going to tell you over and over again, David, it is the people that don't understand what have and have not is because they're confused with I have right now, but I'm only borrowing it.
But Stuart, but it gets worse because if we look at universities right now and they're spewing the same statements that you hear in the liberal media, and if you're going into, you're hearing, if you hear it from the politicians and you hear it from the media and you hear it from the professors, must be true, but it's not. It's far from the truth. It's this. It's political bias for a means to an end. And right now, when you look at, and when a CNN or an MSNBC, and I'll use Joe Scarborough, who clearly said on his show, we must get rid of Donald Trump. That's not news, that's opinion. And the fact that he has a pulpit to do so, and others of the same kind, is wrong. By the same token, Sean Hannity cannot or Tucker Carlson screaming and yelling that Biden, is a crook or Biden should be removed from office. And you can't do that, people. This we don't want to hear it.
No, David, you know what? When will this end? I don't know. Is it going to be our generation that misses out or the next? But eventually, I hope that there will be some sort of normalcy that's restored in the news area. There was a message by a friend of ours named Jamie, who recently had a nice backyard party with like 15 of his family and friends, who was very critical of us and our support of, again, the governor. But these guys watch media and have no concept of we have in the States of the Constitution. And he's like,
Stuart, I hear you, but I know Jamie, and you know what? Man's entitled to his own opinion.
Right. But it's not his opinion. You want to know why? he doesn't have the information. He just heard information and assumes it's fact. He
Listen,
doesn't. I mean, there's a level of.
I have friends. I know somebody who also criticized us. I like the guy tremendously, but he is a hardcore left. We've had our conversations. He refuses to budge on his point. And you know what? I'm not interested in moving the far left or the far right. But everybody else who's somewhere in that range, Stuart.
Yep.
We gotta tell everybody it's time for you to send the message, cut the cord. Enough with this. But the problem is, where are we going to find real news? That's what scares me. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached our quarter hour. And as a result, we got to say goodbye. So on that note, we will see you on Friday. Yep. Don't ask me what the Friday subject is.
No idea.
We have no idea. But I assure you it's going to be a lot of fun.
I want to thank everyone for liking us. I like everyone for sending us our private message. Please like us, share us. If we say something fun, please, don't be shy. No one's going to hate you for liking us. We're not any biased media. We're just two guys telling you what we really think. And I think we're saying it from an educated base of view. So I would call it almost newsworthy. David?